video. Today is the second video in our getting to know who you are in Christ, and then also ways to develop yourself before getting into a relationship. I haven't figured out a name for the series yet. Hopefully by the time this one's up, I'll figure it out. I haven't gotten the last one up, so hopefully by the time that one goes up, then this will, yeah. Anyways, I'm rambling. But I just want to say hello and welcome to anybody who's new here. My name is Emma, and I'm the one who runs this YouTube channel, if you couldn't tell, as well as the Instagram and the written blog, Tea and God. And I hope that you guys enjoy it here. And to everybody who's returning, thank you so much for watching another video. It really means a lot. But before we dive right on in, I'm going to spotlight, our fancy smancy tea of the day, which is, if I can set it down, there you go. It is the Yogi Kava Stress Relief Tea. I actually just recently found this tea in my family's, we call it the shop. It's like a big pantry, basically. And so I just found it out there, and I tried it, and I actually really, really like it. So I've been drinking a lot of it lately. Today we are going to be diving into Song of Solomon, Chapter 1. But yeah, so we're going to dive right into that chapter. I have 3 different translations that are my personal favorites. I also do like the New King James / Old King James version, but for this book in particular, I prefer these translations just because I like the way it words it better, because I don't like it with 1,000 D's for this one, and I's. But yes, so I'm going to start off, I think, in... I should plan this out. I don't know which translation I want to start in. I think I want to start in the Message translation. This is... I'm going to try and lift up that stuff falling out of it. It is the Canvas Bible. It is by... it's the Message Canvas Bible by Nav Press Books. And I have mixed thoughts with this Bible, because I like that there are, it's like a coloring Bible, which is why it's called the Canvas Bible, and then there is room in the margins to take notes or to do your own Bible journaling. But I don't like it because the verses are not numbered, so that part kind of sucks. But I like this translation for this book because as I read, I'll kind of elaborate on it, but I like this translation specifically for the Song of Songs. So starting, sorry, that was a really long introduction, but starting in chapter 1, verse 1, and that's really the only verse I'm going to know in this one. So starting off, it says, the song, best of all songs, Solomon's song. And then the woman is speaking, and it says, kiss me full on the mouth, yes, for your love is better than wine. Headier than aromatic oils, the syllables of your name murmur like a meadow brook. No wonder everyone loves to say your name. Take me away with you, let's run off together. An elopement with my king lover. We'll celebrate, we'll sing, we'll make great music. Yes, for your love is better than vintage wine. Everyone loves you, of course, and why not? And I'm going to pause there. I think this is going to be a really long video and fun to edit. But actually, I have an idea. So, I just realized this. I'm going to do in portions and then be switching translations back and forth. So I'm going to pause here for this one, and then I think, does that make sense? Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So starting again in, this is a New Living Translation Bible. It's a, let me see if I can figure out the publisher on it. It is the Teen Life Application Study Bible by Tyndale House Publishing, but I painted it because it was ugly, and I've had it for ever, but it's I love the translation, so it's totally okay. So starting again, Song of Songs, chapter 1, verse 1, it says, this is Solomon's Song of Songs, more wonderful than any other. And then the woman is speaking, and she says, kiss me and kiss me again, for your love is sweeter than wine. How fragrant your cologne. Your name is like spreading fragrance. No wonder all the young women love you. Take me with you. Come, let's run. The king has brought me into his bedroom. And then the next part is the young woman of Jerusalem speaking, and it says, how happy we are for you, O king. We praise your love even more than wine. And then the woman is speaking again, and she says, how right they are to adore you. And that is the end of verse 4. And then before I say my thoughts, which again, I might change this, I haven't decided, I'm going to read chapter 1, verses 1 through 4 in the one that I normally read from. It's an English Standard Version. It's by Crossway Books. It's a journaling Bible. Cool. And it says, the Song of Songs to Solomon's. And the woman again starts speaking, saying, let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. Your anointing oils are fragrant. Your name is oil poured out. Therefore virgins love you. Draw me after you. Let us run. The king has brought me into his chambers. others. We will exult and rejoice in you. We will extol your love more than wine. Rightly do they love you. I think it's really important in reading those three, like in reading different translations, you just kind of get a different kind of spin on it. Like obviously it's all the same message, but I personally love reading different translations at once to kind of get parallels, even though it's all essentially the same thing. I like hearing it in different wordings. And so I think it's important that I think that these first 4 verses are just important because it reminds us that when you find someone that is, when you begin to get, what am I looking for? Initially, when you start to fall for someone, it's the kind of thing where you are just so, like, head over heels in love. You are, like, so head over heels that logic is kind of taking a break. It doesn't really matter as much. It's kind of, it's not as big of a deal because you're so in love with them that it kind of blinds you from things that might be logical. And I think it's really just, like, when it says, like, it's always, each translation, obviously, since it's the same text, but it's saying, take me away with you, like, let's run away together. And I think it's really important to remember that, when you're in the initial stages of a relationship, and obviously this is Solomon and his wife, like, entering, or what I'm thinking, like, as newlyweds, so, like, same, it's a new stage of life. It can be so easy, it can be so easy for us to, want to go at it with all we got and kind of just throw logic to the wind and just go for it and, have our moment. But it's just also really important to remember that, allow yourself to be able to experience that joy and experience the, like, obviously you don't want to be completely blinded, but, to experience the honeymoon phase and to just really enjoy those initial stages of a relationship, because it can be so easy sometimes to, focus on the negative things, but it's so, so, so important to focus on the positive and to focus on the things you love about the other person and how, like, special they make you feel and all those kinds of things. Sorry, that was really, like, random. Anyways, so I'm going to be reading verses 5 through 7 in my English Standard Version translation. So, starting in verse 5, it says, I am very dark but lovely. O daughters of Jerusalem, like the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Solomon, do not gaze at me because I am dark, because the sun has looked upon me. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard I have not kept. Tell me, you whom my soul loves, where you... Oh, sorry. I'm going to pause at verse 6. We're not going to go to 7. So that was the ending it with verse 6. I think that this is really important because in the first part of verse 5, and then again when she says, do not gaze at me because I'm dark, I think it's important for us to remember that back in Bible times, it was very much the lighter your skin was, the more beautiful you were perceived to be. And so she is confident by saying, I'm very dark but lovely. She has a confidence in herself and in how she looks, and she's not afraid of what she looks like, which is something that before you get into any type of relationship, whether it's a friendship, a business relationship, a romantic relationship, you need to be able to be confident enough in yourself, in, like, not be cocky about your looks, but you need to be able to have a sureness in yourself that, I'm not, a terrible looking person. I'm who I am, and that's okay. And, like, I have these flaws about me, but that's okay because that's how God created me, or that's how I've developed over time, I guess, if that makes sense. So, that being said, it's also important to note that when she says, do not gaze at me because I'm dark, she's still insecure about it. So she has this confidence by saying, I'm very dark but lovely, but she's still insecure because she doesn't want people to look at her like she's not the best. Or, not like she's not the best, but like she's not worthy of having the love of the man that's fallen for her. So in that sense, I think it's important to realize that, while she has this outward confidence, on the inside she is still insecure. She is still kind of like, why are they looking at me like that? Like, do I have something in my teeth? Do I have something on my face? Like, why are they looking at me like that? So I think that while it's important for us to have a confidence, and that's something that you should be able to find in your faith and in who you are and, like, on your own you should be able to find that without having somebody else constantly reassure you and tell you that you're worth loving in that sense. But at the same time, it's okay to have those feelings if it's like insecurity when they come up. And it's something that you just have to, accept as being human, because even, the most beautiful person that you think is the most beautiful is going to have their off days where they think that they are not beautiful at all and where they don't understand how someone could ever find them physically attractive. You know what I mean? And then I also think it's important when it says in the end of verse 6, they made me keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard I had not kept. It's important for us to take care of ourselves. And, like, obviously, you know, you want to take care of others too, but in order to be able to properly care for others and to properly nourish others, you need to be taking care of and nourishing yourself, because as the New Testament says, you have to, you know, take this twig out, or you have to take the log out of your own eye before you try and take the stick out of somebody else's. You need to be able to, you know, stand and you need to be able to be whole on your own before you go and try and help somebody else be whole. You need to be, you know, sorry, you need to be a whole bucket and not a bucket full of holes. You know what I mean? And so, continuing into verse, I'm going to read all three translations for this one, I think. So, starting in the English Standard Version for verse 7, it says, Tell me, you whom my soul loves, where you pasture your flock, where you make it lie down at noon. For why should I be like the one who veils herself beside the flocks of your companions? And then the New Living Translation says in verse 7, Tell me, my love, where are you leading your flock today? Where will you rest your sheep at noon? For why should I wander like a prostitute among your friends and their flocks? And then the Message says, Tell me where you're working. I love you so much. Tell me where you're tending your flocks, where you let them rest at noontime. Why should I be the one left outside the orbit of your tender care? And I love all the translations for this verse, obviously, since I read all three. But I think it's just really important to note that, so as women, I feel like it can be easier for us to be less sparing with our I love yous and be more emotional in our relationships than it is for men, which, you know, obviously we're all different people, but for the most part, I feel like that rings true. And I think that it's really interesting because in the Message translation, for example, for a lot of the book of the Song of Solomon, the man refers to the woman as, like, my friend, my dear friend, and then she keeps referring to him as my lover, my dear lover, and saying all these I love yous and stuff before he does. So I don't know if that's really relative to anything. I just think it's kind of an interesting thing to note, and it's also kind of important for us as women to remember that, you know, instead of getting discouraged when, or instead of getting, like, hurt or discouraged or anything like that in a relationship, if you feel like you're saying the I love yous more often than the man, it might not be that they don't care about you as much. It might just be that because of who you are, you're a little bit more giving with those. And instead of making it an issue, just talk to your partner about it and be honest with them about it. So it was really random. I also think, though, that it's really sweet in verse 7 how she's, like, asking where he's going to be and stuff, because, and I think it's kind of funny that she's, like, I think it's kind of more of a joking thing than her being like, well, like, why, like, you know, being sassy. I just think it's kind of funny how she's like, why should I wander like a prostitute, you know, with the people, among your friends and their flocks, you know. I think that's really funny how she's like, I want to know where you're at so that I can just go and see you and not have to worry about, like, you know, accidentally stumbling upon other people's flocks instead of yours, something like that. I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny how she's like, you know, like, you should tell me where you're going to be so I don't have to go and, like, try and find you instead and just go where you are directly. So verse 8 in the English Standard Version says, If you do not know, O most beautiful among women, follow in the tracks of the flock and pasture your young goats beside the shepherd's tents. And I think that this verse is important because, you know, he's saying that she's the most beautiful among women. And when you're dating a man, he should think that you are, you know, the most amazing person ever. Like, obviously, he shouldn't be, like, putting you on, how do I explain this? He shouldn't be idolizing you, obviously, but he should think that you're the best person that he could ever have because he's in love with you. You know, he should really be cherishing you and be like, oh my gosh, like, Johnny, did you see my girl? Like, boy, that's my girl. You know, he should be proud to have you and be bragging about you, and a little bit in that sense. Verses 9 and 10 in the Message translation say, You remind me of Pharaoh's well-groomed and satiny mares. Pendant earrings line the elegance of your cheeks. Strands of jewels illumine the curve of your throat. I'm making jewelry for you, gold and silver jewelry that will mark and accent your beauty. I didn't get it. Sorry, that was through verse 10. So, oh no, that was right. 9 and 10. Yeah, 9 and 10. Sorry. That one I think is really important because it says that the jewelry will mark and accent your beauty. And I think that it really comes that way with any and all accessories that we have in our culture. We should be using those accessories to accent our natural beauty versus taking away from it. So, when you see people that are wearing, like, I don't even know how, like, when I'm trying to just, like, put to words some of the things you see in today's culture, like when you see people that have, you know, the hot pink, bold, bright eyeshadow, and, they really, like, do their lips in a way that isn't natural, or they completely change how their eyebrows look, or completely change all these different things, or they're, like, being so done up that it's impossible to see their natural beauty. And I think that it's really important that, the things you wear and things you accessorize with and the jewelry you wear should really complement your natural features. It shouldn't take away from them. You shouldn't be trying to hide these things about yourself that you were born with. If you have a little bit more hips than somebody else, you should try and wear clothing that accentuates your hips and makes them stand out. Or if, let's say, you have really bold and beautiful eyes, you should try. I can't talk. Sorry. You should try makeup looks that really accentuate your eyes without taking away from them. So, do them up a little bit, but not do it so much that that's all people can focus on. When you are trying to be more ladylike and, like, trying to truly accentuate your beauty, you don't want to do things that draw all the attention to one part of you. You want to do things that make it so that when you walk by, you really stand out in the sense that it all accents and complements each other, versus having one thing that's really bold and everything else being really subtle, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. 11. That was 9 through 11 in the message. I'm sorry. It's really hard because it doesn't have the verses in it. But then continuing into, we're going to do in the New Living Translation. So verses 12 through 14 in the New Living Translation say, "The king is lying on his couch, enchanted by the fragrance of my perfume. My lover is like a sachet of myrrh lying between my breasts. He is like a bouquet of sweet henna blossoms from the vineyards of it's in my own Bible header, and it's like Angidai or something. We gotta love Old Testament names, am I right? But this one's really important, I think, because it reminds us that the person you're in a relationship with is going to be enchanted with you. He's going to be enchanted by not necessarily your, like, perfume or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he's enchanted by you. Like, when you walk into a room, his eyes go to you because he's so enthralled by you. You know what I mean? And I also love how she is saying he's like a bouquet of sweet henna blossoms. So she's also, lifting him up. Sorry. She's also lifting him up. She's not just saying, oh, he's enchanted by me. She's so enchanted by him and drawn to him as well. And that's something really important because, in today's society, it can be really easy to think that, oh, only one person is attracted to the other. But when you have a truly God-honoring relationship, both of you are going to be so in love with each other that you're both going to be praising each other and not just having one of you always give the compliments or one of you always, hopefully that makes sense. When you are with someone that is, also, like, when you find the person that's right for you, you're both going to be so enchanted and in love with each other that you're cherishing each other. And continuing even into verse 15, into verse 15, he's speaking now, not she. He is speaking, and he says, "Behold, you are beautiful, my love. Behold, you are beautiful. Your eyes are doves," which, like, obviously it doesn't really fully translate. Like, it would be a little weird if somebody walked up on the street and was like, "Yo, your eyes are like doves," But, like, it still is important because while he's complimenting her in verse 16, she continues and says, "Behold, you are beautiful, my lover, my truly delightful. Behold, you are beautiful, my beloved, truly delightful." So they're both complimenting each other, and they're both praising each other because they're so in love with each other that they're focusing on the good things. And obviously, when you're in a relationship, you're going to go through hardships, you're going to go through struggles, you're going to have things about the other person that absolutely drive you bonkers because that's, what being in a relationship is. You have all the ups and downs, all the backs and forth. But it's really important to focus on the things that made you fall for each other in the first place and the good things versus focusing on the bad. Obviously, when the bad things come up, you need to open them up and you need to deal with them. You need to be like, hey, and talk about it. You don't want to just, sweep them under the rug until it explodes out of you. That's not healthy either. But at the same time, sorry, I'm putting the light, there we go. At the same time, you don't want to only focus on the bad things because nobody wants to be in a relationship where the other person's always focusing on the negative about them, Like, you wouldn't want that for yourself, so why do that to somebody else? I'm going to finish with verses 16 and 17 from chapter 1 in the New Living Translation. Sorry. So many translations. So verses 16 through 17 in the New Living Translation say, "You are so handsome, my love, pleasing beyond words. The soft grass is our bed, fragrant cedar branches are the beams of our house, and pleasant smelling firs are the rafters." And, I don't know, I don't think she's honestly saying that, you know, they're living in the middle of the woods with no actual house, but it's sweet because, like, when you are in those state, when you are in, the honeymoon phase of a relationship, whether that be the actual honeymoon or the initial honeymoon phase of a relationship, you really are spending time dreaming with that person. You're out places and just imagining all these different things that could happen. And I think it's just really romantic how she's saying they're probably like, well, I don't know. But if they were walking through the woods or something, she's like, oh, like, like, this is our bed, and that would be, like, they're dreaming about what their future home is. You know what I mean? And so I think that's also really important that when you enter a relationship with someone, it should be with someone that you can see yourself continuing on with. You guys should have similar goals and interests, similar end games, and similar timelines. Because let's say, this is not a love-related example, but this is just one that can easily equate, like, people can understand it really easily. If you want to if you want to get healthy in 10 months, and somebody else wants to get healthy in 10 years, your timelines are going to be really difficult to mesh. It's going to be difficult to take the steps that you'll need to take to get healthy in the amount of time that you want to, when they want to go much slower and more gradually. In the same way, like, if you wanted to be a millionaire in 10 years, and if you wanted to be a millionaire in 5 years, but somebody else wanted to be a millionaire in 30 years, you're going to have much different approaches to getting to your end goal. Sure, you have the same end goal in mind, but your timelines aren't compatible. You need to find someone who wants the same things as you in a relatively similar timeline if you really, really, really want that relationship to work in the end. And obviously there is things like, compromise is, that's part of a relationship. If you guys have similar enough timelines and goals and things, you'll make it work and, figure out the ins and outs as you go. But at the same time, you don't want to be entering a relationship with someone and committing to someone whose timeline is so vastly different from yours, whether they want something much sooner or much later than you do, even if the end game is similar, or even if your goals are similar, it's not going to be as amazing as let me back up. It's not going to be as easygoing as it would be if you guys were more compatible in the timeline sense of that relationship. So, yeah, sorry. This is a really long one. To be fair, you guys wanted longer videos. I just made this one a little longer than I should have. But anyways, in summary, I guess, before you are entering a relationship with someone, things that you need to think about both for yourself and for the relationship in general is you need to have a confidence in yourself and in who you are, and, like, not necessarily in just your looks, because obviously you don't want to fixate on that because it's not what really matters, but you need to be confident enough in yourself that, you can stand on your own 2 feet, and, like, you can be a little sassy and bold, but you also know that when insecurities come up and you're having a rough day, know that it's okay and accept it and be able to move on with your life instead of just sitting in that mound of ick, And then also make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Make sure that you're eating healthfully, you're moving your body, and that looks different for everybody. I'm not saying that you have to eat green smoothies and run marathons if you don't want to drink green smoothies and run marathons. But, take care of yourself, take care of your skin, take care of your hair. Like, learn how to do things that are really beneficial for your health. Really take care of yourself before you start also adding on taking care of somebody else. And, another thing is you really want to both cherish each other. Make sure that the person you're dating isn't just someone that you're dating because you cherish them. Make sure they cherish you as well, and vice versa. Don't just date someone because they really pay attention to you. Also really, want to learn more about them and pay attention to them and cherish them as well. And, sorry, I'm going to go back up. Also, though, remember that, if you really want to fully be your best self and feel the most confident, wear things that accentuate the things you really like about yourself, or the things that other people have commented that they like about yourself. And, really accentuate those things. Don't draw attention away from them. Don't draw so much attention to one part of you that the other parts are just, kind of not, they're like on the edges, on the outskirts. You want to really just make sure that you accentuate everything equally and that it all goes together and accentuates each other. So if you are wearing, I don't know, I'm not going to go into that. But make sure everything you're wearing complements each other and not just, you know what I mean? Like, make sure that you look put together, because being, like, obviously, I don't know. I feel like the trend now is to not put an effort, you know, and to just wear messy button sweatpants all the time. And sure, that's like okay to do every once in a while. But I notice for myself that when I do put in a little more effort and I do wear things that make me feel more confident, even if it requires a little bit more work, it makes me feel better throughout the day than just wearing what's comfortable and easy, you know? So that is a very long and drawn out version of my thoughts on Song of Psalms chapter 1. And again, I really want this series to be kind of, you know, learning with for all of us to really realize what our worth is and not just find our worth in a relationship, because that's not healthy for anybody. You need to really find your worth in who you are in Christ first and then add a relationship to that, because then you'll truly be able to flourish both on your own and with someone else and help them grow and nourish them, and then they can do the same for you if they've done that as well. Sorry. Oh, let me back up. And also, you want to make sure that, you know, your dreams and your end goals and everything are compatible with your partners, and that also, you know, your timelines are similar. Because again, you don't want to be dating someone who wants to do things much, much faster, much, much slower than you do, because it's going to make it harder to really plan a future with them. Obviously, though, if it's close enough, you guys can work that out and do that on your own. But you do really want to make sure that it's compatible enough that neither of you are going to be miserable if you compromise for the other one. You know what I mean? You want to find a happy medium with those things. But, sorry, again, this video is too much longer than I planned on it being. But I really hope you guys got something out of it, and if you did, please feel free to leave a like on the video. It does really help us out. And if you know somebody that could get something from this series or this video in general, please feel free to send this over to them. And if you guys are new here and you enjoyed this content, there is more content like this on the channel, and if you want to, you know, see more like it, feel free to either subscribe down below or follow over on Instagram, or check out the written blog. I will have all of that linked down in the description box below. I cannot talk today. But as always, I hope you guys leave here knowing just how cherished and loved and, you know, especially you are, the God that created you. I mean, He created everything in this world, and He thought the world needed somebody just like you, because we're all different. And I just think it's crazy that He created us so differently, and we're all here for a reason and for a purpose. And as always, I will see you guys next week or later on this week, depending on when these ones go up. But yes, I will see you guys in the next video, and thank you guys so much for watching. Bye, guys.